what were your? And I know this answer might change over the next 6 months, but what are your biggest challenges so far in making the film? What have your obstacles?
Oh, the biggest challenges to making the film like this are the ones that everyone will automatically know. One, raising money. The problem of, especially in a film of this scope, that's traveling across the world and going to several different countries. Logistical problems, having enough money to make the film, having enough what is the tenaciousness, essentially, to get it done. I mean, every film, I think every filmmaker knows that there are depressing moments, that there are thoughts of not getting it done, or what will it be like when it is done? Will it be good? Will it not be good? Those are the kinds of personal challenges that everyone faces, I believe. You want to do your best, and you want to have a great piece of work after it's done. And those, it's the nagging doubts that are probably the most difficult things to shake sometimes, because it's such a long process. Most of the time, making movies is not the fun and the camaraderie of being in the field, but sitting in front of a screen after you bring the footage home. That's a little bit different experience. In fact, a lot different experience than being in the field with your friends and the people that you meet and enjoying that journey. So those are the biggest obstacles. I think they're probably personal.
So, when what keeps you going in those moments of despair when you're in the process and it's really hard?
Well, the things that keep me going when it gets tough is the support of friends, really, and family, my wife, my children, the people who are working on the film with me, those who are encouraging and no.
Let's talk about those people a little bit more. The cinematographer and just kidding.
No, it's the thing that keeps keeps one going, or keeps me going, and at a time when it gets tougher. The friends and family and the support that I get from those people. That's why I'm always sending people things. I'm always sending, oh, take a look at this. What do you think? Is this good? Yeah, okay. You like it too? I've been watching it for hundreds of hours, and I have no objectivity any longer. I have no idea if something looks good, it's bad, if it's working, if it's not. So I send it out to the people that count, and those are my friends, and they give me the word. And sometimes it's a reflection on what you imagine. Well, let this plane pass.
It's a director sitting in the hot seat. Still listening.
There must have been others.
Yeah, there were.
And they just... I missed them.
You were in the moment. I didn't want to stop.
Yeah. Then there's the reflection on other artists, and specifically Beethoven himself. I mean, he, at the time when he was composing the Ninth Symphony, 1823, he was completely deaf. He was completely deaf and really alienated from those people, most people around him. He was a kind of person you would imagine, if you've ever seen Ebenezer Scrooge, there's Beethoven, I mean, and it's true. It's not a romantic picture created by somebody. It, in fact, is true that he did suffer, that he did not speak to people often, and people did think he was actually crazy. And he was arrested during one of those latter part of his life, arrested for getting lost in disarray and in filthy clothes, and in the way that you would picture him. And he got arrested for looking into someone's window, and they reported him, and he was taken to the police station, and somebody had to come down and identify him because he said he's Beethoven. That's like saying, well, I'm Napoleon. And so that was true about his life. So you have to imagine a person whose social world is in complete disorder or chaos, sitting in a room with 3 inches of dust, with manuscripts piled up on top of his piano, a chamber pot that's unemptied, and creating rising above all of that, his own suffering, his own fear, his own confrontation with his own mortality. And he wasn't a young man when he composed the Ninth. Rising above all of that and creating one of the most enduring, most powerful, most beautiful, most profound pieces of art ever created by a human being. Looking into the depths of his own soul and his own heart and creating this unbelievably spectacular piece of music. I mean, I think of the piece itself, the Ninth Symphony, as tragic in a way, and meaning that there's tragedy involves inexplicable suffering, inexplicable pain. That there's no way that we can, by reason, understand it. We can't. We only have to suffer through it. We only have to live through it. We only have to go onward. Keep going. And for him to embrace that in a way, to embrace his own suffering, to accept it and embrace it in a almost a capacity of joy, to know that, as he put it himself, that it's only science and art that allows man to get close to the gods. To embrace that is reminds me of that phrase amor fati, the love of fate, the love of his own fate. That Beethoven embraced that suffering and pain and tragic, his own tragic situation, and turned it into art. And it isn't sentimental, it isn't romantic. It's just fundamentally powerful act on his part, which is a lesson in how to live, I think.
Do you think you identify with his struggle? Or
Oh,
is that what people attach themselves to when they think of his music or something? Are they somehow connecting to that on a deeper level? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think people identify with it because I identify with his struggle, but I don't pretend to be, somebody that approaches. I mean, who could really pretend to be somebody who approached that kind of genius? And but it's fundamentally human. It's fundamentally a human thing for people to suffer the way he did, and to feel joy the way he did, and to feel happiness the way he did, and somehow make it through, and to do some good things in the process and create. I mean, he had a focus about art. I mean, that was his life. He had a focus on art. He didn't have a family. He didn't have lots of the other things that the rest of us have that distract us from perhaps focusing on what we love the most in us, what's deepest in us. So he had a clarity about his own journey and his own reason for being alive, and that was to make art, to make music. And that's something that I think everybody could identify with one way or another. That kind of sharp clarity, even though we live lives that are just dramatically different from the kind of genius that Beethoven was. I mean, we can all identify with that, I think, at some level.